In this lesson, we're gonna be creating order history page. Let's start by creating an API to return customer orders from backend. Go to App API Orders and create a new folder, set the name to mine. It's going to return current user orders. Inside that, define route.ts. Here is the code of this route. Export const get. So when user go to this address /API/orders/mine, this function return orders. In the if condition, we check the user authentication. If it's null, return unauthorized response. Otherwise, get the user from rec.auth, connect to the database, and find in the order model all orders that user equal to current user ID. Then call response.json to return orders to the frontend. We will use it later in this lesson. We will use this API later in this lesson. The next step is in the use cart store hook. At the very end, after clear, define a new function. It's init. What we did here is to reset cart store to the initial state. The initial state comes from here and is the default value for all cart status. Next step is in the menu component inside headers, components, headers, menu.tsx. At the very beginning, extract init from the use cart service, and in the sign out handler, call this function. By calling this, when we redirect user to the sign-in screen, we'll remove all user information, including shopping cart, payment method, and shipping address from the cart store. Next step is adding a menu inside drop-down menu here. Before sign out, create an LI, and inside that define a link to order-history page. If I click on my name, I can get order history page. If I click on it, I will be redirected to 404. Let's create this page. In app, frontend, right click, new folder, order-history. Inside that, right click, new file, myorders.tsx. It's the component that I'm going to use to render user orders. Make it client component by setting use client. Export default myorders function. It's a React component to render user orders. Access to the router using use router hook from next/navigation. And here it's time to call the API we have defined at the beginning of this lesson using use SWR, imported from SWR, and set the URL to /API/orders/mine. From this hook, we get the data, rename it to the orders, and get the errors to show error if there is an error in getting this data. Because I'm going to render this component only on client side, I'm using this code. Define use state, define mounted state. In the use effect imported from React, set mounted to true. If the component is not mounted, return empty string. By having this code, we will not get any error in not matching client and server rendering result. The next if conditions are about showing error message, and if there is no order, show loading message. Here we are ready to shape the UI of my orders component. Return a table. In the table header, display columns for ID, date of order, total price, paid status, delivered status, and action to delete to get the details of order. In the table body, call map function on orders from backend, and for each order of type order imported from /lib/models/order model, render a table row like this. Set the key to order ID. The first row displays the ID, only the last 4 characters of ID to make the column small. Create a date, only date part, not the time part. You can get rid of it if you want to show all part of the date. Total price, put dollar or your currency before it. If order is paid and paid at has value, in the paid column display paid at. If it's not paid, display not paid. Do the same for delivery status. The last column is for showing details link. Import a link from next/link, set the href/orders/id of order, and pass href to true. The caption is details. Here is the code for the return part, and we are ready to use it in the page.tsx inside order-history. Right-click, new file, page.tsx. In this component, export const metadata and set title to order history. Export default function order history. It's the React component to render order history page. Inside that, create empty container, set h1 to order history, and then render my orders component. Save the code, and here is the result. To create horizontal scroll to access to all columns in a small screen, in the return part of my orders component, create a div, set class name to overflow x auto, and cut the table entirely, put it inside the div, and save the code. By having this, you can have beautiful horizontal scroll to access all columns of the all columns of the order history. Let's try again. Order history, scroll, details. Here you have access to the order like this. Great. We successfully implemented order history in this lesson. Until next lesson, bye-bye.